Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today I'm going to be going over a new ban and restricted announcement that they had for the game in the English format. Technically we did get a subsequent announcement for the Japanese format, but a lot of these changes for them aren't taking place until December 1st, where in the English format we're getting it a little bit sooner. But this shouldn't come as a huge surprise considering we knew according to the Japanese ban list that DoruGreymon was going to get hit and limited to 1. We just didn't know when it was going to be for the English format, and now we have that answer, and we know that there's going to be more cards added to this list as well. So let's just go over what's got added to the list. So starting November 11th, which is the release of EX3, we are going to have the following cards limited to 1. The first one on this list is going to be Calling from the Darkness. So Calling from the Darkness, according to them, allows you to delete your own Digimon and then collect Digimon cards from your trash, and it's at a very low cost, so as a result it causes various endless loops, and it supports unintended gameplay styles, so for that reason they've decided to restrict it to 1 copy per deck. But I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a bad limitation, considering a lot of decks already were running only like 1 to 2 copies of this card anyway, so it just really stops them from running more than the 1 copy that they were already kind of running anyway. The next card on this list that got limited to 1 is going to be Sunrise Buster. So according to them, this card has powerful DP reduction ability that also has the ability to play its tamers. Therefore, the output of this card is greater than what it was intended for some decks, and for that reason, they've decided to restrict it to 1 copy per deck. So basically, they were just saying this card's too strong. It kind of does go 3 for 1, playing your tamer, deleting your opponent's Digimon, and getting whatever value that tamer is going to have, if it has any, is just a lot for 1 card to be doing, especially at a low cost, and other cards also could abuse this card to be able to do even more powerful things than obviously what they were intending. This is a big hit to the Cross Hearts decks, considering this is one of their big removal tools, because it helps them set up their tamers, and a lot of their tamers help play their Digimon. So in combination with how Cross Hearts wanted to play, this is an easy 3 or 4 for 1 in terms of overall card value. So it only makes sense that if they wanted to hit Cross Hearts, hitting their big removal card that helps them set up at the same time only made sense. The next card on the list is obviously going to be the DoruGreymon that we were waiting for. So this card is a very powerful card, and according to them, as a Digimon card with X antibody in its traits, multiple copies can easily be placed to the bottom of its own Digivolution source for more security attack plus. Furthermore, it's when Digivolving, having a very powerful defensive capability of preventing effects from deleting it, and its DP can't be reduced until the end of the opponent's turn, is just that strong. So to adjust for game balance, they decided to restrict it to 1 copy per deck, but I think this is a pretty good call just because this card is just that good, not only enabling Alphamon for being an OTK deck, but any other deck that's utilizing Black X antibodies could also think about abusing this style of card as well. And then the last card on the list is going to be Shoutmon X4. So according to them, Shoutmon X4 is getting limited to 1 due to its effect that allows the reuse of cards required for an end of attack Digicross ability. Then this card could be used for a string of repeated attacks at a very low cost because of the Digicross, that it just shoved all of its sources underneath because of its end attack ability. Having multiple copies in your hand just allows you to basically cross 4, swing, put all the sources underneath your tamer, cross 4, swing, put all the sources underneath your tamer, rinse and repeat until you're out of Shoutmon X4s. Then its on-play effect on top of all of this allows you to have stronger than intended advantage for Cross Hearts because you get to draw 2 every time you're playing a new Shoutmon X4, so the level of card advantage and combo play that this card enables is just really, really strong. So to adjust for balance, they decided to limit it to 1 copy, so Cross Hearts not only got 1 hit in terms of Sunrise Buster, but got 2 hits in the form of Shoutmon X4. So this is really going to force the Cross Hearts deck to shift its resources and try to change up how it's going to approach the game, just because it's losing its big aggro piece and big aggro tool. I don't necessarily think they're going to switch over to the B line. I think when it comes to BT11, it's going to switch over to trying to be about cross 7 instead. But on top of the new additions to the ban and restricted list, we also got an update to the Abra List. So BT10 actually had a slightly higher than average amount of cards that needed to be fixed, and well, I'm kind of happy that they actually are deciding to fix them. So going over this list really quickly, Shoutmon is a card that was printed without his once per turn clause to his inheritable ability, so in the errata, they are going to be adding that once per turn effect. Then on top of that, you have Amano, which isn't really going to be getting a huge change. It's just changing the word A to the number 1, so it's just a further clarification on how the card wants to be used. Then we do have Burning Star Crusher. That's adding the you may add one Digimon card instead of add one card with cross hearts in its traits. So it's specifying that it has to be a Digimon card, and it's specifying that it is optional. So it's just, again, further clarification on how the card is supposed to work. Then Blazing Memory Boost was mistranslated from Christopher to Kiriha, although in the pre-release version of the card it was Kiriha, so I don't exactly know the story behind how that mess up happened, but they also added further clarification where you may add 2 cards with Blue Flare instead of you add 2 cards with Blue Flare, and then you play 1 Kiriha instead of you may play 1 Christopher. So this actually changes a decent amount of the card, but the card is supposed to be used all the same, where you're going to be looking at the top 6 cards. You're going to want to add 2 cards with Blue Flare and its traits from among them into your hand, and then you're forcibly playing the Kiriha if you see it and meet the full conditions, so you just have to keep that in mind when utilizing this card. Then Omnimon X Antibody just got some text clarification because its wording before was kind of a little bit awkward. Then Lonke Ariscado, actually its name was just written wrong, so they corrected its name. Then Buzzing Fist was playing a Black Tamer instead of specifically a Amano. And that's all of the big changes that we got for BT10 in terms of erratas. So as far as my overall thoughts on the new ban and restricted announcement, I'm pretty okay with what we got in terms of the limitations that they're putting in place. Calling from the Darkness is the one that kind of matters the least because, again, most purple decks are only running like 1 to 2 copies of this card anyway, and they're not running a full 4 of, and on top of that, purple has cards to reuse its options and grab them back from the trash, so it's not like it's that big of a deal, them only having the 1 copy anyway. So you do have Matt, Dracmon, and Lilithmon of examples to be able to pull back your options. Then when it comes to Shout 4, I do think the deck in EX3 is going to take a huge hit because of that, on top of the loss of Sunrise Buster, but they're probably going to resort to using King Shoutmon for the time being, on top of the fact that when BT11 comes for National Season, if we don't get any more cards added to the list, then it's probably going to end up shifting its resources and adjusting itself to run Shout Cross 7 instead of focusing on the low to the ground Shout 3 and Shout 4 style that has been a little bit more successful in Japan as of right now. Then when it comes to the DoruGreymon hit, yes, Alphamon is going to take a big hit just because it's losing one of its key points of aggro and protection, but we still have 2 level 5 X Antibody type Digimon that can still help the deck in some capacity, so Hisarumon actually makes the deck a little bit more defensive and adds various other lines of play that the deck used to have in BT8, and then on top of that we still have Gradimon to help with its overall consistency and control capabilities for how Alphamon can play. And then as far as Sunrise Buster, that card was just a really strong card, and I actually want to see Flame Hellscythe go along with it in the future, just because they're 2 very similar style of cards. Granted, Sunrise Buster is a little bit more powerful than Flame Hellscythe, considering the DP reduction capabilities that can far exceed what Flame Hellscythe can do, but I do think they both fit in that same similar style of ability, where they're just trying to go 3 for 1 in terms of value, deleting a Digimon, playing another card, and getting that card's other ability, so eventually I do want to see Flame Hellscythe go. But I think it's a pretty good banned and restricted announcement, and it's going to change the landscape on how we're going to be playing EX3 going forward, only separating our formats and making them different than Japan's. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.